And I think this is it's one of those really fun what do you value more series. We've had a few of these in the playoffs so far. Like, do you value regular season accomplishment or do you value other stuff, which could probably most aptly be described as quality of best player plus postseason experience. That's kind of like how I would put it. And I think depending on how you feel about Luka versus SGA, you would actually give both of the second things to Dallas. There's no question about the regular season stuff, right? That's Oklahoma City with a bullet, one of the best teams in the regular season in the NBA, great at a lot of different things, balanced, but like balance sometimes means you're not good at everything. They're great at everything. Their one disadvantage would be that they don't have a lot of size. People knocked them for not adding a backup center at the trade deadline, kind of like how Dallas did the opposite. Dallas went out and got Daniel Gafford. They already had Derek Lively. Like it's, now Dallas feels bigger. They got PJ Washington. And OKC didn't do that, and it'll be interesting if that's what decides the series too. Is Dallas went out and got that player, and I've got two players, but really like a big, and OKC didn't. And I wonder if we'll be saying in this series, man, OKC could really use Daniel Gafford, and Dallas has him instead. But like regular season was all OKC, and then it's like, well, then why is the series priced this way? Because the betting markets, we did this a lot in the first round with Phoenix, Minnesota. Like betting markets value quality of elite talent and best and postseason experience. They value both of those things, a lot. And which is to say, people value those things because people making bets shapes betting markets. And I can't disagree with that because the most interesting dynamic to me in this series. So I'll just say, I know the price is crazy. I bet Dallas to win the series. I think they're going to win the series. And as, quote, disrespectful as maybe this price is, like, well, OKC did this in the regular season. How could you say that? I can just as easily say, I think OKC's postseason hasn't even started yet. I think they played the 5-game summer league in the first round, 4-game summer league rather in the first round against a team that quit, that didn't have their best player. And I like to think in terms of asking questions. So right now, Minnesota is asking very difficult questions of Denver, and it's on Denver to figure out if they can figure out how to answer the questions or they're going to be eliminated. Teams ask questions of each other. This is what you're talking about, where exposing weaknesses, right? It's the same dynamic. Team's going to ask questions of another one. Do they have the answers to those questions? And I kind of think Denver's the best at answering questions, at figuring out an answer, at trying to move stuff around to make it work because they have the smartest player, along with LeBron, obviously, too. But the kind of like current player that's in the prime of their career, Jokic is probably the best at that. And I don't think anybody's asked the Thunder a single question so far. Sure as hell don't think the Pelicans were asking any questions. And so, all right, like if I kind of feel like postseason experience matters, and I've got a team in Dallas with more, and I've got a best player battle where I like Luka in the series. Luka has made it a point in a bunch of the head-to-heads against SGA of outplaying him significantly and has kind of taken it personally in a bunch of the games too, which is really interesting. And that's not that it has to happen here, but I think there are a lot of things that make me like Dallas in this series, and I like their postseason experience advantage, and it's a pretty big one because the Thunder have none. And I think Thunder Pelicans, I don't know. I wouldn't want to say, because the betting market is really tight here, like 50-50. I don't want to say it like put people off the scent of like that OKC's so inexperienced, but it kind of did because we just didn't have to think about the Thunder for a while. They were busy playing whatever the hell that was. And I don't think anything about that prepares them for what this series is going to be like and how it's going to be like. Now, look, am I worried about Luka's injury coming back up? Sure. Am I worried that the Thunder might actually be awesome? Sure. They could definitely be really good. I'm going to make them prove it to me here against like a kind of a known commodity a little bit more, and a known couple commodities in terms of the postseason, which is how Luka and Kyrie are playing right now. So I bet Dallas. Now, I didn't bet them like at exactly this price, but I do think they are more likely than this to win the series. The order of the games, who wins game one, I have no idea, but I do think over the course of this series, I actually think Dallas is going to win, which is, I guess, kind of contrarian, or maybe not, depending on how you feel about it. And just a couple reasons why I like them. Denver's a 7-point favorite. So they're like heavily favored by the market to tie this series, whether you like Minnesota or not, or whether you think Edwards is awesome or not. Like betting market says Denver's really likely to get back into this in tonight's game. They're a pretty big favorite in this game. Do you want to buy anything with Denver right now? That's like, I think, your really interesting decision point. And you might have the biggest egg on your face after this game, because if they lose this, you're really up against. I mean, there's just the likelihood of you getting out of these bets without, being on the felt is really tough. Like, you're probably going to lose, but they're also a 7-point favorite to recreate this betting market in a way where maybe there's a lot more optimism in what the Nuggets can do. Their price to win the title is longer than it's been since before the season started. This is the best price you can get on Denver to win the title all year. This is the best price you can get on Denver over the Celtics in the finals, basically all year, since Boston started being awesome and those prices cratered. It's the best price you can get on Jokic to win finals MVP all year. Now, that doesn't mean the bets are good. There are teams that are down 3-0 where I could be like, hey, this is the best chance to get Kevin Durant to win finals MVP all year. He's 9,000 to 1. Like, that argument doesn't just mean buy, but you have to also be mindful of, like, is this the entry point? If you don't have any Denver, is this your entry point to get it? Do you feel like if they won this series, would you like them against Dallas or OKC? I would. Would you like them in the finals against every team? I would. So it's like, this is the toughest part. It's almost like Vegas, Dallas in hockey. I'm sure a lot of people that like those teams are like, well, if we can just get by the first one, then like we're going to feel really good about all the series after that. This is kind of like Judgment Day for Denver. But if they get by it, man, like it's really interesting to view things as everyone's skittish on the Nuggets right now. Everyone thinks Minnesota's now really positioned to do some damage here. Does that mean it's time to be contrarian? Does that mean it's time to buy Denver? The answer doesn't have to be yes. Like, we could all just be wrong. And
Starkin historically has been fantastic at home in the postseason. Did you do anything with this Rangers-Hurricane series now that the fact that the Rangers have won? Has that swayed anything one way or another for you?
I do think the series is very interesting. I think where I differ from the market, I bet I don't usually do this where it's like, hey, like I bet this thing and we never talked about it, but I was off for 4 days. Like I bet the Rangers in game 1, and I thought they were a little more likely to win the series than the price. I don't like Carolina, and this has been true the whole time. Like I have $0 on them to do anything in this tournament, and it's going to stay that way. And I was talking to somebody about, hey, what do you want to bet in this series? Do you like either of the? I think a lot of people think this series is what I think about Florida Boston. A lot of people think that's what this series is, which is like, this is the series that's going to define who the favorite is to win the Stanley Cup. In the betting market, that'll probably be true. Carolina's the favorite right now. The Rangers are the third or fourth choice. Whoever wins will be viewed as like the prime contender for the Stanley Cup. And I base my analysis on a ton of, I think, very predictive historical criteria. And I don't like either team. And of the two, I hate Carolina. And they do a lot of things that don't work. In the postseason, just historically, they do a lot of things that don't look good when we get here. And maybe they made a bunch of trades and that all got better, and I'm supposed to ignore everything that happened in the regular season, but I don't agree with that. And overall, I do like the Rangers in this series, maybe to win a long series. So that's kind of where I'm at. Now, is this a great entry point to bet the Rangers? This is where like the zigzag nature of the playoffs, I think, is really tough, right? Like I can say like, hey, I like the Rangers, but after already getting a 1-0 lead in the series, like, is this a great buy point on the Rangers? I don't know. Is game 2 a great buy point where Carolina is favored in the game, which is pretty nuts? That game will be tomorrow night. I think in almost every game, it's going to be, am I betting the Rangers or am I not betting the game? And I think Carolina's being a little bit overrated here. Regular season success as opposed to postseason things that matter. Now, I don't like either team as a winner, but I do like the Rangers a little more. It's just funny. Like, I do think people would be like, wow, winner of the series, like they got a really good shot. And I think they look at Florida, Boston as like, whatever, Florida's going to win a lot of the time. And for me, Florida Boston is like, I'm on the knife edge of who wins every single game because I'm very likely to bet that team against whoever they play in the next round and then in the cup final against whoever that is. So it's one of those funny situations, PJ, where like I'm doing my own work and it just comes up with something pretty radically different than how the market sees it. I guess not that different. Like Florida is one of the favorites to win, but you know what I mean? Where it's like, I look at the series a little differently, and the one I think is important to who wins isn't the same one as everyone else. And that doesn't mean I'm right and they're wrong or vice versa. Just like, this is a setup where I think that's the case. Whoever wins Florida, Boston, especially if it's Florida, I am going to have a very large sum of money on against the winner of Rangers Hurricanes. And like, I'm going to go to war on that series. And especially if it's Florida, where I think is going to be pretty like even money-ish against the Hurricanes and maybe favored against the Rangers by a little bit, but the Rangers will have just beaten Carolina. Small series price, I guess is the point. I think that is going to be a tremendous betting opportunity because of how much I like to bet Florida.